All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have to be a little bit quieter, aren't I? All right. I get to talk about something that I am very passionate about, something that I really enjoy, and that is our Kentucky Emergency Response Team. First of all, I want to kind of mention a little bit, I'm going to put my water over here. My supervisor and my branch manager and all the rest of the full-time people, they're over in the corner, so if anything bad happens, they're right there for you, okay? So what I'm talking about is from derailments to drums. So we're going to give you a little bit of an inside to what we do. So we're not going to worry about that. I do have a lot of stuff that I've done. I've been here for about 30 years, and I enjoy every minute of it. I get up every day, and I enjoy the fact that I get to do something cool and enjoyable, and it's new, and I get to help people. The emergency response team, we respond to incidents that threaten the environment and the public health. Now, what does that mean? Usually it's some sort of a hazardous materials response. That could be anything from petroleum releases, air releases, threat releases, what's that, right? Unknown material releases, natural disasters, that's been something that we've been dealing with a lot with lately, and mining, oil and gas, drinking water. What are we made up of? So ERT is primarily composed of volunteers. Now, whenever I say volunteers, we're talking about people that are already subject matter experts in other fields, air, water, and waste. These guys really know their stuff. We have 6 full-time staff in our central office. Again, most of them over there, except a few of them ran off. We have the coordinators in each region, we have 3 on-scene coordinators in each region. We've got 10 regions, and these are our part-time guys. They're on call 1 week out of every 3. So that is 1 week that these guys are tethered to their phone and willing to provide assistance to the state of Kentucky. It's a great thing to do. There's our regions. All right, so the creation of ERT happened in 1977. That was a grand total of 1. Apparently it was done after some kind of a natural disaster. Believe it or not, that document I got up there is a copy of the original. At that time, when they said, hey, we got to create some kind of a emergency response network. They didn't do a whole lot with it until the very next year when there was a train derailment. Now, apparently it was a fairly nasty train derailment. It had a kilonitrile in it. Not going to get into the chemicals of it. We are not what that was, though. We have managed to create and make something completely different. All right, what are our capabilities? This is our current capabilities. We have air monitoring that we do for public interactions. We were there, 24/7. We have, water monitoring. We have mobile command posts. We have boats, UTVs. We have something called a HAP site. I'm not going to get exactly what it is, but it is a mobile gas chromatograph mass spectrometer. All right? In a nutshell, we use it for air, water, and waste detection. We have managed to turn that thing into something that even the company that originally made it has come to us and talked to about. We also do vapor intrusion mitigation, basic recovery, and cleanup. That's where our 80% of what we do is. Groundwater remediation, emergency communications, because nothing ever happens when there's a great cell phone service, right? We can request and coordinate federal assets as they come in, and if need be, we can hire contractors. All right, so another part of what we deal with is in the event of a large state of emergency, we don't just have, there's a whole set of functions, emergency support functions. We don't just have one of those, we get 2 of them. First one is ESF3, and that's where we coordinate public works recovery in impacted regions. We receive information, resource requests for drinking water and wastewater, coordinate with DOW for verification. We do try to hand this off as quick as we can because we do have the other part of it. We try to hand it off to the Division of Water. But we determine whether resources are needed and where, prioritize resource requests from KYEM. We've got short-term, long-term stuff, and then the type of assistance that might be needed. And then we deliver the resources, and if need be, coordinate with the federal partners. ESF3, now this is not too different than what we normally do. I'm getting through this pretty good. All right. I was told I only had so much time, and I like to talk, okay? So I'm doing the hard part first, and we're getting to the rest of it later. So anyway, ESF 10, we're dealing with we coordinate, assess on-site conditions, we receive from numerous sources, trust verification, we coordinate with the different field offices. We determine what type of material and how to address it, then we identify responsible parties when not necessary, oversee cleanup, and coordinate with partners. All right, so that's some of what we get into. Whenever I'm talking about partners, we have a lot of partners. I'm going to tell you right now, that list is not complete. And I probably missed somebody, and I apologize beforehand if I did. Matter of fact, I can see where I missed a few, being the Louisville Metro Health Department, MSD, and a couple others. But we deal with all of these, or have dealt with all these through my career. Now, what makes this outstanding? Okay, here we go. All right, this is where we get exciting. All right, so Region 4 EPA actually comes to other states and talks about how well organized we are, how good of a job we do. Now, probably this started off because of distance, because they're out of Atlanta, and talent, all right? Again, remember the fact that we've got 36 part-time responders. They're already subject matter experts in water, waste, or air. So we can draw from that and get that information. The federal EPA is actually modeling one of their response trailers right after this trailer that we got outside here. It is our mobile lab. And I mean, as I said, it's really made, it's functional, it does a good job. This kind of came to light with the federal EPA during the Applegate Lane that I'll briefly mention later on. A year and a half ago, we got a phone call from the state of Georgia. Now, bear in mind that Georgia, Atlanta, same place. The state of Georgia calls us up and say, hey, we're trying to make our program with emergency response a little bit more, more there. All they have is 5 responders. They actually drove up 3 of them and did air monitoring training with part of our air monitoring team. We were able to coordinate and talk with them and give them ideas of how to make their team better. We were able to, right now, they're actually looking at the fact that the key to us is our part-time people. They are what makes us good. They're what makes us awesome. All right? Most states, as I said, only have 4 to 5 people. Another thing that I mentioned beforehand was we have this piece of equipment. It's called HAPsite, made by a company called Infocon. Just a few months ago, they had just rolled out a new version of it. They have a grand total of 2 that they've made. They brought them to us, to Kentucky, and showed it off, demoed it to us. They're taking some of the information they got from our demo to make an updated version specifically for the needs that we have. Is that not neat? As I say, Kentucky, we're a forerunner in this. I spent, 2012 during a train derailment. I remember thinking, I want to make us as good as we can be. And we've been pushing and we've been working. And suddenly, about 2 years ago, I put my head up. We are above and beyond other states. We are actually leaders among states. All right, so I'll mention briefly, I'll talk about the floods that happened in April, what we did, what our part is. Bear in mind, again, we were doing ESF 3, ESF 10. All right, for the most part, we were doing ESF 10 because we managed to get water to help us out with the 3 part. But we actually had boots on the ground, people going out and doing surveys of where drums, different containers, we call it orphan hazardous waste, right? Something that's there that can be a problem. You've seen recently the Arizona floods that happened where there's just, all kinds of propane tanks just kind of parked off on the side. Well, that's what we were looking at for the state of Kentucky. Now, you'll take a look at this picture here. That is a GIS. I think somebody was mentioning that we were taking points of each individual drum we found. Now, you'll find that they seem to be concentrated in a few areas. Huge debris piles that were stranded left by the floodwaters, right? And these were where different rivers were set up. There was such an angle or a bend of the river where it really caught a lot of stuff. Now, I'm the science and safety officer for ERT. And one of the things that blew me away was just the amount of nastiness that was in this river water. I mean, I had to literally put safety reports talking about make sure you don't stab yourself with syringes that are discarded that are in the piles. So we're going through some really disgusting things. But we managed to organize ourselves in such a manner where that we went to, I think we're 2 and 3, so it was kind of far western Kentucky and more central Kentucky. We divided it up, started bringing all the drums and everything in, characterized it and disposed of it. So that right there is a picture of Madisonville, where that we've got it all nice and done, and we did it in record time, guys. You know, there's a nice rainbow, but yes, well, I can't say it's a stage picture, but God helped me out. So there's a rainbow, we parked that in front of it. So, you never miss an opportunity, right? So that's one. Now, some of y'all heard of Applegate Lane? Okay. All good things. All right, stakeholders. So I'll give you a quick synopsis. So we got a phone call. Actually, I had been in Ireland the week before, so I was in a really good mood. Sitting eating dinner with my oldest daughter, and I got a phone call from the Louisville Metro Police Department. And they said, hey, we got something that we need your help with. I'm like, that's kind of cool. They actually thought of me. I should not have answered my phone. So anyway, get there, and we find out that we're dealing with an individual that is both a hoarder and a very talented chemist who specializes in making bombs. Or actually, let me try this again, explosive material, okay? So because of this, we bring in a lot of people. We have ATF, FBI, DEA, EPA, the 41st CST, which is Civil Support Team, along with a variety of local Louisville entities. And we put our heads together and try to figure out what to do. Well, the FBI informed us that the best way to take care of it was to burn it. All right? That was their fault. I spent the next couple weeks trying to figure out, in the event of a controlled burn, how am I going to, do air monitoring around there? So I had plenty of time. I worked with a variety of individuals, the local health departments, the different air quality, Division of Air Quality helped me model some stuff in the event of something happening. So we actually had a really good plan put together for that. Well, finally, we got the federal EPA to come in and actually do the deconstruction instead of burning it. So, as I mentioned beforehand, we're talking about 2 pieces of property. One he lived at, which he didn't own. One he owned, but that was his lab. All right? We'll just leave it in that regard. So what were we talking about? What made this so scary? All right? So there was all kinds of containers of unknown liquids to where that if you walked in there in level A, meaning full, containerized, walking in there, just bending over would actually knock over something else. Additionally, there was explosive atmospheres in the basement. So, and on top of that, during the time that we had different entities coming in, it was, I think, 110 degrees heat index. So we would actually, instead of, usually when you go in, you're doing a level A entry, you kind of take your blood pressure, check this, that, and the other thing. Well, we got to where we were just weighing the people before they went in. They would work for 10 minutes and they'd come out and they would lose 10 pounds. So it was not the greatest work environment you've ever seen. There were all kinds of containers such as this. There was things that had wires sticking out of it. So you're seeing where that it became a very dangerous setup. So finally, as I said, the federal EPA came in and we developed a plan to deconstruct it. Step 1 was to make a Connex wall around the place so that in the event it actually did blow up, it would blow out, it would blow up. Now, we did refer to it as the Great Wall of Chuck. Let me see here. That's Chuck. All right? He told me to never tell anybody that, so anyway. We built the wall around it. We also made a crush box. So in the event of anything that wasn't construction material, we very carefully threw it in the crush box and, we crushed it. All right? Then it would be, set aside and decided whether or not it was hazardous waste or not. Nothing that left the site was considered hazardous waste. We treated it as such, but it was not considered by definition. What we were looking for, we had to do evidence preservation. So we had glassware we had to look at. We had containers there. The good part is we had one of the Connex boxes. We just put a lock on it, so that became our evidence locker. One of the more amusing parts was at one point we thought the guy had figured out how to make LSD. Just an FYI, there's only 2 people in the United States that have ever successfully made LSD. I'm looking on the internet, using my state computer, trying to figure out how to make LSD. Nobody ever said a word to me. I think they just knew it was normal. I also looked at how to make bombs. I mean, it was really, I had an inventive day. I said, I love my job. All right? So again, items of interest. Evidence, we're looking at glassware, compressed gas cylinders, containers. Some of them were marked, some of them weren't. The very first day we took down a garage and we were trying to do our process and crushing up different things, but one of the very first containers looked like a old-fashioned milk jug, the metal ones. Well, we crushed up a full container of like 10 pounds of mercury, elemental mercury, so that made it a bad day. So we had to clean it all out, get started over again. Day 2, we showed up, and I rolled in, and the whole place smelled like one of those fingernail polish, where it has that really organic smell. So it was fun, it was enjoyable, nobody died, so it was good. It was good times. All right, another one I'm going to talk about real quickly. Oh, see, look, I'm doing good with time. Amanda lied. She said I wouldn't be able to get it done in time. All right, so this just happened last month. So Newburgh, Indiana, on 9/6 had a, hold on, give me a second here, remember what it is, a process or some kind of a facility that had caught on fire, and it was a coating facility. So it was on a Saturday. I had actually been in Pikeville giving a battery talk. I'll mention that in a minute. But I had 2 years ago, I had mentioned to the Indiana individuals that, hey, half of all of the air monitoring assets we got for the state of Kentucky is in Owensboro. So if something really happens, we're close enough we can help you all. That was kind of an empty promise. I didn't figure everybody would ever take me up on it. Well, fast forward to then, and I did do one thing, though. I did check in the event something like that was to happen, how does Indiana get Kentucky to come across the river, right? Well, I did find that out. So they called me and say, hey, Mac, we really need you there. The U.S. EPA, which is coming out of Region 5, that's Chicago, they're at least 10 to 12 hours away. We need air monitoring for our community. Can you help us out? I'm in Lexington at this point. I'm like, sure, why not? We'll see how this can be done. I knew the process because it said it's called the Ohio Township. That does cover Newburgh, Indiana. There's like 3 or 4 different towns they cover. They had to request air monitoring assets from the Indiana Department of Emergency Management. Then Emergency Management turned around and called our Emergency Management. And our Emergency Management was nice enough to ask if we had the ability to do that. We already knew we did. And Rob was kind enough to spend a few minutes explaining stuff to me and telling me that, he's going to kill me if I mess this up. So it was fine. It went perfect, by the way. We looked like rock stars. Anyway, so what did it look like? So I'm not going to get any details because it's still a process going on. But what we were asked to do, as I said, I'm driving from Lexington to Newburgh. I have managed to get one of the most talented ladies in the world to get my air monitoring equipment organized in Owensboro. I contacted 2 other people from the Bowling Green area to come up. So I had a 4-man team already. So I show up on site, and the question was, because we're driving different vehicles, so I had showed up differently, and I got there about 15 minutes beforehand. Well, because of the fact you don't want to drive through the plume of nastiness, the comment was made by the lady was hey, I can't find you where you're at. And about that time, that picture got snapped. All right, there's no light behind that. That is them actually hitting magnesium blocks with water. All right, so it kind of looked like a lot of fireworks. It was pretty impressive. Our chemicals of concern was hydrogen cyanide and hexavalent chromium. We had the equipment to measure that stuff. We actually had what we needed. We showed up. That's a really bad picture. Actually, it's a horrible picture. But we managed to put our equipment out. We did community-based monitoring. We managed to make sure our monitors were in the right spot. We even brought a monitor for the actual fire department there. Hey, this is what you need if you need it. We were nice enough to put one of our monitors right there where the command post was. Things worked well. Now, so one of the things we got to remember when we're doing emergency response is these types of relationships, they do not magically happen. You need to talk to people beforehand. You need to build your relationships. You need to make the mistake of telling Indiana, hey, if you need some help, we can do it. And we did it. So there was actually a seamless integration with command staff. They knew who I was already. The two people that had called me were originally from the Kentucky area. I had done work with them before. They even made a comment, Mac, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you guys are here. They kept coming to me, asking me questions, which, this was kind of a nice setup because the only thing I was worried about was the air monitoring part, and all the rest of it was somebody else's problem. So I got to go home at the end of the night and not worry about it. But for once, I don't know if anybody's ever done any sort of air monitoring before. Very rarely does it work perfectly. In this case, it worked perfectly. We got everything up and running. It turned out to be that 4-man team was perfect for exactly what we needed. It said we had 2 specialists that went out, put the monitors out. We had one lady that was doing the actual making sure it was connected. And I had originally planned on being more of assisting everywhere, but I kept on getting pulled in as a liaison, explaining what this different stuff was meaning, whether or not we should be worried. Again, lessons learned. This is actually a picture from Derry, Ireland. And I do have a lot of Irish blood in me, so it kind of makes a lot of sense. First, there is conversation. We got to talk about it beforehand. All right, I want to put a special thank you out to Miss Lori Blair, Barb Hankins, and Tony Oakes. Those were the 3 people that helped me out, all right? Couldn't have done anything without them. All right, another thing that we get ourselves into are special events, pre-planned stuff. Now, what is that? For us specifically, it's the Kentucky Derby, Thunder over Louisville, Riverfest, Breeders' Cup when it comes here, the governor's inauguration, PGA tournaments, any sort of large event, we do air monitoring for. Now so this picture, this just tells you what all this encompasses. This is a huge ordeal. There are so many different entities there that are working to try to make these events safe, working behind the scenes or monitoring for a variety of different things. And I just want to also point out that that's all of different law enforcement, that picture there. We're the only ones without guns. Probably a good idea, but anyway, we have, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So while that you guys are enjoying the stuff that's enjoyed for Kentucky, there's a whole troop of people that are behind the scenes trying to make you guys safe, or trying to make you safe. Now, what exactly are we looking for when we're in there? We're looking for chemicals or chemical reactions that would indicate some kind of weapons of mass destruction or terrorist activity. So we're actually there reading this information and trying to tell what that is. We directly assist local emergency management agencies along with other state and federal and local partners in the detection and identification of chemical, biological, nuclear, explosive agents. We call it CBRN. And that picture right there is not any kind of a derogatory towards AMC theaters. It's a picture of that little area array that we got there. See, we're doing really good about hiding stuff. And by the way, FYI, whenever you get done, go take a look at our rapid response trailer. I made a trail for you guys. I've got a bunch of area arrays that start out, and it literally leads you there. I thought this through. All right, another thing I'm going to mention is we are partnering with the Kentucky Fire Commission. We are doing lithium-ion battery trains, fire trains. In the event of something happens, just an FYI, that is not me, okay? Promise. I'm surprised y'all let me keep this one. Now, this guy he remembers he's a firefighter about here, so he's getting ready to take a spark shower. Okay, he doesn't die. We'll stop there. All right, but anyway, we've been doing, for the last 2 years, we've been doing firefighter trainings. Whether they be volunteer firefighters, professional volunteer firefighters, anyway, bunches of firefighters. We've been doing it for the last 2 years. I've done them online and in person. The very first online training I did, it was kind of amusing because the question was, because we do them via Zoom and I have all different people that proctor it. I was like, how many people can we have in a Zoom training? Like, the biggest one we've ever had is like 200. I'm like, that's a lot of people. Well, I give mine and I have almost 500 in the very first class. So That's a lot of Zoom faces to look at. It's just overwhelming. But we get invited to come to a lot of different fire conferences. A matter of fact, one of the most, actually I had a really, really good day before I had to go to Newburgh because I had just finished giving one of my talks in Pikeville. And I was so proud of those guys because it was about a 6-hour-long training, and I do throw a lot at them. And about 2 hours into it, they got it. It was so awesome. Like they all together clicked, and they understood this is how we fight these types of fires. And like I said, we're helping them out. Another thing that we're doing, we're partnering with Kenya in the PSC. She bought a couple of fire blankets, I think what, 15, 20 of them. And because I know all the different fire departments, ERT distributed them. So we did not tell them in any way, shape, or form that she bought them. We lied and said we did it, so we really looked good. All right, so do I got time for questions? All right. All right, are there any questions? Come on. I mean, this is, oh man, there's sound with this one. Everybody likes bourbon, right? That is a controlled deconstruction, by the way. No crying. Trying to remember if I said anything really stupid at the end of this. So that's Owensboro, Kentucky, guys. All right, are there any questions?
So, Mac, I have a question.
Where are you?
I'm over here.
Oh.
I'm the disembodied voice in this side of the
That's
room.
what it's been. It's like, yes, Satan? No.
So, having volunteer staff who have other jobs, how do you guys train and prep your team, as they go through their everyday jobs, but also have to serve this purpose? So what's your training like in ERT?
So we try to get our people trained up as much as possible. We have a lot of in-house trainings, specifically to our air monitoring training. Every single month we have our air monitoring teams set out into a west and an east. Every month they go do the quality control assessment, calibrate the equipment, get familiar with it. So they're always messing with it because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So that's one part of it. Now we also we're broke out into a variety of teams where just an FYI, you never want me to drive the boat and especially don't want me to back up the boat. So I'm just the passenger princess when it comes to that kind of stuff. But we have a specialized boat team. We have a specialized water buoy team. So we have a lot of different groups that are broke out, and they actually physically touch and work with this equipment on a fairly regular basis. Additionally, we do have a yearly training, and any sort of training we can get together and talk to we try to get them. But it is a struggle because that's just something extra that they got to do. Any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you, Mac, for a great presentation.
Perfect.